Is it true minimalism is dead? Just ask yourself what is modern architecture is about. Often you listen the answer about functionality, simplicity, comfort and clarity. And all this is about architectural style minimalism. However, with minimalism everybody tried to repeat each other, to copy each other and to keep up with trends. And recently minimalism became the most well-known trend and style in architecture in 21st century. But in practice, everything is not so perfect how minimalists try to present. In this video, I will analyze pros and cons of minimalistic architecture, advantages and disadvantages of it. My name is Lucy Lago. I'm an architect with experience in luxury residential architecture, and let's begin. Minimalism is style in architecture and in art which speaks about clearly forms and lines. Principles of minimalism in architecture: simplicity in form and design, clear lines, clear forms, simple shapes, all this about simplicity. Harmony of space and proportion. It's all about combination of space and proportion of it in all projects. So for example, if you speak about architecture, let's say it could be living, kitchen and dining area as one space, and it needs to be proportionally correct with the rest of the functional scheme. Material integrity. It's about how to combine materials so that they would look nicely and harmonic and they will have a nice dialogue between themselves. Attention to details. In minimalism, details are limited, but we need to put attention and to show what is important in interior or exterior. The clear line, to make attention on them. In minimalism, you need to show light to detail which will be created with quality. It can be empty space, but there will be a chair, for example, which will look very interesting, very nicely designed. You will see details of it and you'll understand this is the minimal ornamentation. Minimalism is about limitation of ornamentation. So it will be clearly lines without any ornamentation, and what will speak to us its material from which is created. Integration with nature. I love this characteristic of minimalism style because shows the beauty of nature. Architecture in this way just the nature. Famous buildings in minimalistic style in 20th century really changed world of architecture. One of them is Villa Savoy, designed by Le Corbusier in France. It has simple forms, big openings, a lot of light and nice simple shape. The glass house, designed by Philip Johnson, it has big openings, transparent walls, and it creates fantastic integration between architecture and nature and outdoor and indoor areas. Let's look at advantages and disadvantages in minimalism architecture and why not everyone is fan of it. While minimalism in architecture grew as a trend and became popular in all around the world for simplicity, for clarity and for functionality, it also comes with its own disadvantages. Let's look at them. Lack of ornamentation. Ornament by itself is representation of culture of specific country, and sometimes when we add ornament on facades of architecture, it shows us in which country we are. It represents culture of a country. Limited forms and character. Minimalism is about clearly forms in interior and in exterior. It's about clear lines. Of course, when we remove personal stuff or personal furniture, our space becoming cold and without character. And this is disadvantage of minimalistic style. Risk of monotony. It's very simple just to repeat the same topic, to make it minimalistic without any character, without any ornament, without any details. And from one project to another to repeat the same scene and the same picture. So we'll never understand what is different between one project and the other. Cost and maintenance. Beauty of minimalistic architecture in materials. In materials which we choose for facades, for exterior and interior. So while we're designing, we need to think specific material, which maintenance it will have in the future. For example, if it's a warm climate and you use a lot of natural woods, how wood will behave under the sun, which cost it will have in the future, after how long I will need to change the woods, what time turn this material will have in the future. This is very, very important while we design a minimalistic architecture, to think about maintenance. Are people willing to pay more and live in less comfortable space? Do you think minimalism is overrated? Now let's figure it out, whether it's worth it. But before I continue, follow me on Instagram, where I'm sharing the process of creation of my architectural project. Minimalism in architecture offers several advantages which can influence our lives. Simple forms and clear lines help our soul to feel it's better. Why? Because like this we have a space for fantasy, we have a space to think and to be focused on different topics. Simple lines and clear forms just put us in a mood of meditation. Timeless. Timeless is about minimalism will never go out of the market. It's always will be space for it. Even after 50, 100 years, it will look fresh and trendy. Focus on materials and details. In minimalism, all our focus is on materials and details of it. So we need to show on the first position of materials which we use, and to show the beauty of each material. Flexibility. It's all about spaces. So when we work in minimalism, we always have freedom of change. We can change the space, we can make moves, we can play with the functionality of the space. Emphasis on natural light and openness. Characteristic of minimalism is big openings, big windows and doors. So in this way, a lot of natural lights coming into our space, and it creates really very nice atmosphere inside us. It's very good for our soul. Minimalism as a style was discovered in specific historical time. It answered on specific social and cultural questions. All architects, all artists were focused on idea to find solution, how to make production in such a way that it will be achievable for simple people, and in the same time that it would be comfortable in use. They were focused on material and functionality of it. Minimalistic architecture offers environmental responsibility, aesthetic appearance, functionality, and simplicity in form, shape, and philosophy. And a lot of occupants choose minimalist style in architecture for its simplicity and beauty of aesthetic. One of the main challenges and criticism of minimalism in architecture is lack of warmth and personality. A lot of people say that it's too cold for them. It does not have a soul. It's all about space and air. And somewhere there, it's missing warmness of the house. Minimalism in architecture slowly developed in time. And of course, right now we have on the market different types which have different nuances, and they adapt to the needs of occupants. And minimalism in architecture became more warm, more characteristic. And right now we have a lot of different influence which make space different, but at the same time with the main characteristic of minimalist style, which is clear lines, simple forms, but with a touch of personality of each occupant. Here are some types of minimalism in architecture in our times. Neo-minimalism, digital minimalism, sustainable minimalism, micro-minimalism, cultural minimalism. Sustainable minimalism, it's all about sustainability, it's all about nature, integration in minimalism and influence of nature in the spaces. Cultural minimalism, I also love it as a type because it's really bring culture of specific country in which architectural project is created. So architecture influenced by culture, which show us and remind us in which country we are right now, which is very beautiful because each country is unique. All those subtypes make minimalism in architecture rich as a style and adaptive to our reality. While minimalist architecture has produced a lot of successful and beautiful projects, here are few projects which are representing minimalism in architecture, but probably they didn't achieve the best characteristics of it. Torre de la Libertad in Mexico City Center complex, Las Vegas. There is a lot of factors in architecture which influence on successful result of the project. Sometimes when we think just about shape of the project, or when we put characteristic of style in front of philosophy and task which we have in front of us, then the result will be different, and then we will not achieve the perfection in style and in architecture, and it will not be the best representative of minimalist in architecture. The success of architectural project is into philosophy, and it's not about style. The most important for me is to put the task and the feelings, the wishes of occupants or a customer. While I'm designing my projects, I always think about characteristics which I would like to achieve. I wish to think how the occupants will feel themselves into the space, or style by itself, it's on second position for me while I'm designing. Because first of all, you need to think about how and what feelings you wish to achieve, what influence it will have to psychology of person which will stay inside this house, and if it will be comfortable, warm and livable as a space. What minimalism tried to achieve and what could be improved. For different cases there is different options, different solutions, and we need to look at each case from different point of view. However, if minimalism doesn't inspire you and doesn't represent your needs, then the solution doesn't need to be maximalism. It can be somewhere in between. I'm talking about creating projects where personality of people which will stay in this space will be reflected interior or exterior of this project. Today, several different styles in architecture which are really good alternative to minimalism. If you're searching to alternative style in architecture, there is a few which are really in a good trend today. Biophilic design, sustainable architecture, inclusive design, and others. Biophilic design. This style is about integration of architecture and nature. Sustainable architecture, it's about wise use of materials and technology in architecture. Inclusive design is about culture, about needs of specific person and his personality. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Do you want to see how I create my projects? Then follow me on Instagram. There I show all process of creation and share my feelings and thoughts.